trellising case, as long as you're below the bottom wire, and we currently put our bottom wire about 700 mils off the ground, that's okay. And treated bamboo work, yeah, I think that's a great idea. And even filling bamboo with concrete, a bit of steel up the middle, would be using bamboo as the mould. We've done that for shed posts here just as a trial. I saw that in Costa Rica. Certainly good potential to do that. Yes. Bamboo is normally treated with copper to stop it rotting, which you might have excess copper in the ground, but maybe not as well, depending on your soil. Do we use Tatura on monocots like coconut and snake fruit? No, but for snake fruit or salac, I think the single wire, as we used in the star apple there, and we're doing durian on that single cable as well. Well, actually two. There's one a bit above head height, and there's one about 4 metres high to support the tree in two places. Our gene pool rows of seedling wild durians. I do think in some countries they use a single cable to support bananas as well, because it gives you something to tie the tree to and hold it up for various reasons with the weight of the bunches or whatever. So I think for salac particularly, and maybe coconut, the single cable rather than open Tatura would be too crowded for sure. How many branches per fruiting arm? With the two types, we've got single central leader horizontal, or with the case of cocoa or cacao, the best angle is not horizontal, it's about 45 degrees up, and you get a much higher yield that way. Lychee, rambutan, just central leader horizontal branches or lateral branches, you go, again, 45 degrees, because each species has a different temperament that suits it. You want as many as you can if it's an external fruiting like lychee, rambutan or mango. If it's branchless, multi-leader branchless, again, you want as many fruiting units as possible. And, it's a case of judging the crop by the room you've got, the light interception, and in the case of sourshops, look, you saw some examples. We want to be able to see the fruit so we can harvest it at the right time. So we don't want the canopy to be too thick in that case, and we hand pollinate as well. So we want to see the flowers. In the case of mangoes, we want exposure to your fruit to get skin colour. That's another consideration as well that you have to look at. So depending on how your fruit's hanging and how much sunlight that fruit is getting to get good skin colour, is another one. How are you, Jordan? Good to see you. Good to hear from you. How many branches do you allow per fruiting arm? Yeah, we sort of covered that just then. The costs, brief description, extra sellable fruit, it really does pay. It's the cost of the labour saving and the cost of materials is easily outweighed by the extra yield, and the harvest efficiency, I suppose, is a key one. And you saw Sandy there. We can't get her out of the paddock sometimes. She just prunes and goes for it because she enjoys it. But to train someone to teach dinosaur trees and enjoy it is a very difficult task. Would I use tea trellis for breadfruit? No, that's a very good question. We use it for those other Artocarpus species because the fruit hangs low from the trunk or the major branches. I would definitely use open Tatura, central leader, horizontal branch for breadfruit, and because it fruits on the terminals, so you could then get your flat branches and get as many terminals as you could muster along those branches, and that's where your fruit would sit. So you'd be able to reach it from the ground. And I think the way they do fruit with hanging branches, the yield per acre would be quite substantial. I believe no one's really done it yet, but I think from what I've seen of the trees we grow ourselves and other crops, it would really work well. And it's certainly worth a try anyway. Fertilizer, that is a very good question. Again, Umi, it's we saw saw recently on a gardening site, daily site, actually, it was a bloke I thought he had dreadlocks and everything. I thought he's going to say, he was asked about feeding his trees, and I thought he'd say he's biodynamic or something, but he said, you got to give them minerals. I use Rustic Plus, which is a chemical fertilizer, and he said he had trees 12 to 15 years old, which had never fruited, and he gave them a feed and they started fruiting. And we find that as well, different to Hawaii probably, but he was on good red volcanic soil in New South Wales. We find potassium very important for fruit quality. It leaches out in high rainfall areas. It has no effect on reef runoff, which barrier reef runoff is a big issue here in Australia, and water contamination from farms. We use no nitrogen, external nitrogen, out of a bag or anywhere else. We don't use any artificial nitrogen to speak of, because we don't need to with the biology in the soil and the mulching and everything else. We seem to get enough most of the time. And for fruiting tree crops, nitrogen is often the enemy, especially close to fruiting. So there's enough from nature. Potassium, calcium, magnesium, boron are our key things that we need to have there for fruit quality and yield and health of the trees. So in Hawaii, you're blessed with just the most amazing soil I've ever seen. So you can get away with a lot of stuff because it's naturally there. And I can say that in not only orchards I've seen, but just trees that are growing wild in backyards with no attention, and the gloss and the glow and the health that you can see in those trees and the fruit on them. You really just need to tickle the system possibly in some cases to get really good results happening. But our soil, Australia's very old soil, particularly here, we get 4 metres of rain a year. One year we had 8, 1950. It's a massive amount of leaching. So again, the mulch is key, but probably if there was one nutrient that makes a difference for us for sweetness, fruit colour and yield, it's potassium. Will the mango on trellis recover from Phytophthora? Phytophthora is a big one for us for durians, because we're learning more and more about it, because my son-in-law Warren and Trina went to Malaysia and looked at it over there. They have issues too. It's basically soil health is a key thing, and if you overstress them, you're likely to do more damage than good. So we're trying to get our irrigation system really fine-tuned so we can water when they require it and stress them as we need to, but not have any major variances everywhere. Will the support allow the tree to make more fruit instead of thick diameter trunks? That's a very good question again. You don't get big trunks, because the way to keep your tree bigger down and your tree small is with crop load. So trees that fruit heavily, like avocado and mango, the trunk generally won't get big. We've got quite old trees now on Tatura, and because you're pruning them, it's a little bit like a bigger version of bonsai. You keep your roots restricted, because they're close planted. They restrict each other because their fellow tree roots are side by side or interacted. And you keep the canopy small to balance the roots. If you let a tree get too big and then do a big top prune of the canopy, the roots are still wanting to push that back up. So it's important to have balance from early stages. Can you grow Winston weed and trellises so you can have open Tatura? I think there's just about anything you can grow on trellises. Sandy's got one in her backyard, 2 little short ones. She's growing pineapples under the trees as an interspace crop. She grows the most amazing capsicums in amongst her durians that are small, and her mangosteens. So it's basically grow cucumbers. So you can have intermediate crops and faster crops to fill your cash requirement while your fruit trees are taking longer to fill out. So it's a versatile system, because you have a frame and you're getting things like capsicum and tomatoes up off the ground, so you have less pest and disease problem, and you can shade them. Sandy's backyard is a credit to her. It's a fruit salad planting, but what she achieved in 12 months from planting is a real eye-opener. tree fruits do you recommend for heavy clay in the rainforest? Certainly mangosteen, as long as you can get a dry period, is okay with it. Rambutane's very variable. It can handle most soils, jackfruit, probably most other than durian, really. And in some cases in Asia, durian grows on rice paddy banks, so it has some versatility. But yeah, what I would suggest is people try. We have quite a few plantings of fruit salad rows, so we just get anything and whack it in together. It's good for our grazing potential. If you feel like a bit of a nibble, you can go along the row, and there's always a feed of various fruits that you can snack on. And it's also a commercial aspect that it gives us a chance to test things. And we had some agents from Brisbane here just the other day, and they got incredibly excited about our chacha-looking lemon drop mangosteen things that we were going to cut out, but we will be picking them tomorrow at the market because they really liked them, and they said, we can sell these like you wouldn't believe. These have got good potential. We want them. So it gives us exposure. There's things out there that people don't even know about that they will want if they see them and taste them. The markets are endless, really, and different people and different cultures have tastes. So, yeah.